Yes! Huge Debate is back. Finally, we're doing the Huge Debate again. Today, very big question, but a relatively simple one. Who should be the next permanent Manchester United manager? Joined on today's debate by Paul from United Rantcast. Adam McKola is here, and Yassir is here too. Hello, boys. How are we?
Great, thanks.
Good, brilliant. Come on. Get pumped for this debate. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one today. Right, before I actually ask you who your choice for the next permanent manager should be, I am going to add some rules here because I don't want you all to pick the same manager. I want you all to pick different people. So to decide who actually picks first, I need you all to pick a number. Whoever's closest to it goes first. Adam's got in there with number 7.
Number 8.
Number 8. You say what you're saying?
1.
Paul, you go first. Adam goes second. Yassir goes third. It was number 9.
Oh, is that the way?
Yassir has drawn the short straw here on the debate. Guys, watching at home, this is a bit of fun, by the way. 3 options. We're all just going to enjoy ourselves, come together, learn a little bit more about the potential options for Manchester United, right? Let's not take it too seriously before you kill us in the comments.
Guys,
but
anyone learning anything from this video?
I think we might. I think we're going to learn a great deal today from Paul. So, Paul, who's your first option? Who would be your option for the next permanent Manchester United manager?
I'm going to let you in behind the curtain here and tell you something. I was kind of hoping to get the second choice after Adam, so that Adam could pick Ole and I could look sensible. But forget that, because if I've got first pick, I'm picking Ole Gunnar Solskjær. The thing is, I'm not saying this is the right decision, but it's the right decision. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally get it.
I mean, the fact that he's won 5 games in a row is extremely convenient for multiple different agendas that I've been pushing for many years. Not least of which the idea that Ole Gunnar Solskjær has always had something about him. I remember after his first season at Molde, MUTV made a documentary about him, following him around, and every conversation he had, every interaction you saw him having, he carried himself with a degree of authority and thoughtfulness that I've always I've never really put much credence in my opinion on this, because I don't know what I'm talking about. I've never worked for a football club, but it always kind of felt like I think he's got something, because Alex Ferguson players don't traditionally make great managers. If you look at Louis van Gaal, Hal's sort of a kind of archetype in the modern history of European management. Pep Guardiola, Luis Enrique, Jose Mourinho, the De Boer brothers, the list goes on and on and on of people that have worked under Van Gaal and then gone on to be successful managers. And it's because, I think, Van Gaal is very cerebral. The way he coaches, I think its time has passed, but it's a transferable skill. He can pass on his ideas and other people can kind of learn from the good and bad. I think because Ferguson is such a one-off, you can't really teach what Alex Ferguson has. If you read all the stuff that Fergie's written on leadership since he retired, you kind of look at it and go, yeah, I see why you're trying to make a little kind of business case for the Ferguson style. But I think the problem is if you take him out of it, none of it works. The kind of total control, the nature of his change and development as a man manager over time. Anyway, the thing is, Ole probably watched him closer than anyone else, and in a different way than anyone else, because Ole's a bit atypical footballer-wise in terms of he's a very thoughtful person, and the whole thing about his super sub ability was the reading of the game, paying phenomenal attention to what was happening on the pitch so that he could exploit weaknesses when he came off the bench. And when he took over at Molde, he won the league, and Molde are not supposed to win the league. And before he took the Cardiff job, honestly, you just do any kind of social media search for the time he took the job. The general attitude was, this is a win-win for Solskjaer, because either he does well and everyone goes, this is amazing, or he does badly and everyone says, oh, Cardiff's a basket case anyway. actually that didn't turn out to be the case, as I never really suspected it would be, because once you fail, it doesn't matter about the context. People just look at the kind of the actuality of the failure, and that's the thing that gets stored in the record books. But the truth is, Cardiff was an almost unmanageable situation at that time, and he had a pretty good crack at it, and it was probably a mistake for him to take the job. He went back to Mulder. They finished 6th in the league, 5th in the league, rebuilding, and then finished 2nd in the league twice behind Rosenborg, which is definitely above expectation for Mulder. I'd like to know what the budgets are. Perhaps they have more of a budget than I'm aware of, but it's a pretty good thing, a pretty good record. But my key argument is so specious and ridiculous that I'm almost reluctant to say it out loud. But Gaz did say this is a bit of fun. You know when people say, oh, he gets the club? And they almost use it as a kind of like stick to beat people with, like, oh, cliche, all he does is get the club. Yeah, exactly. But what if getting the club is actually really centrally important to being the manager? What if getting the club is fundamental in terms of building bridges between the club and the fans, which has this kind of incredibly positive loop that we've seen? I mean, listen, a lot of this is Mourinho's gone, ding dong, the witch is dead. But we have been absolutely smashing everyone we play until Reading, but 9 changes. He really is a Fergie acolyte, isn't he? Just play a terrible team and we play really badly in the 3rd round in the FA Cup. But if you look at all the decisions he's made so far, they've been smart. His PR game is absolutely on point. But getting the club is more than just understanding the spirit of the club, understanding what the fans want, although that is a significant thing. It's also about understanding the nuances, like where everything is, how everyone sits in the hierarchy, what relationships you have to be super aware of that other people wouldn't be. Who are the behind the scenes architectural power brokers? What chef is the one that keeps everyone's mood up? And these kind of small but significant factors. The truth is, this is a heart overhead decision, no question about that. We'll see in 2 months whether this looks absolutely ridiculous or whether actually the kind of hope that we have at the moment keeps rolling. The reason that I kind of picked Solskjaer out of the gate is because I want to believe, and it would be a beautiful story.
Look, Paul, it's romantic, isn't it? And I do love the idea of it, and I would love it to be a success. But I imagine Adam McKola is going to come in now with a little bit more realism. Adam, talk to me. Who is your next permanent Manchester United manager?
To be honest, I had an argument set up for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because...
No, we're not agreeing with each other on this debate. We are disagreeing with each other. I want a different option. Don't tell me why Solskjaer's any good.
My option's different, and I get to go with my first choice based off the fact that Paul went with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I get to go with Mauricio Pochettino, who was my choice for Manchester United manager when Jose Mourinho got set. Okay. It was my choice when I heard Solskjaer got the interim boss. And even though this has been a great last 5 games, he's still my choice at the moment. I think he's the right man for the job in terms of his footballing style. I think that fits in with what all of us want. I think his ability to blend youth into his squad, I think that's a great trait that he has as well. And not only blend that youth into the squad, but also improve those players as well, and get them playing to the best of their ability, get them playing confidently, and get them improving. You look at some of the players that have gone through into the England squad, that a lot of that has been because of him. So I think Pochettino's ability to manage younger players is a fantastic one. I think Tottenham for Pochettino, and you're starting to see him crack a little bit now. I think he's getting unhappy with the fact that they're not winning trophies. I don't think the demand is there for them to win trophies. You heard of him comparing them to Arsenal when they got the new stadium, how if they wanted to win things, they'd have to change their budget around. And I think that is really the way Manchester United can get Pochettino here. He's already turned down the Real Madrid job, and he may be starting to regret that. And I think Manchester United is a massive, massive job. And a lot of people like to say, oh, look at this, no one can get it right after Fergie and all that stuff. But I believe any manager worth their salt would look at this club, look at this group of players and think, that is something I want to work with. Ed Woodward can already go to him and say, hopefully, I've got a director of football for you to work with. And also, look at this massive budget that you won't get at Tottenham Hotspur. Look at these massive wages that you won't get at Tottenham Hotspur. And I'll tell you something else. You'll be managing in an elite club, something that Tottenham Hotspur isn't. Even in our worst season, Tottenham Hotspur, they might do better than us, but how? By a league position or two. They're never going to really be bigger or better than Manchester United. So I think Pochettino is the right man at the right time and he's the right fit for the club. You look at Jose Mourinho, we brought in a manager that we all thought he was guaranteed success, but he's very much a checkbook manager. The club have shown that they're not going to chuck 50, 60 million pounds on 5, 6 players every summer. And Pochettino's already shown that he can work with a limited budget whilst getting the best out of his squad, improving that squad, bringing some youth in and bringing some new players in as well. And I think with the demands at Manchester United, I think we'd squeeze the best out of Pochettino and get him that trophy that he needs.
Interesting.
Didn't score the winner in the Champions League final, though, did he?
Interesting arguments all round so far for Pochettino and for Ole Gunnar Solskjær. We will find out who Yassir picks next. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be the likes of Zinedine Zidane or maybe the Blanc supremacist? We'll find out next. Okay, then, we're back. Time to get the third option with, well, do you remember work shadowing Yassir? I think he watched Chris put this up a few months ago here on the channel. He's back! Yes, Yassir.
Watched.
Who is your third option, mate, for the next permanent Manchester United manager?
Well, clearly all the better options are gone. But I think the only other option there is Zinedine Zidane. I think you've got someone who he proved at Madrid where the top players that were underperforming, and we have top players that are underperforming. And he's not necessarily the youth kind of breeder. But I think even with our youth, we have top quality there. And I think he can get the best out of our players. I think he's proven success, back-to-back Champions League. And he turned him into a machine. And I think a key part of what he did as well is in that midfield where there was the Modric and there was the Cruz, but they struggled to balance that third player. I think at times they had Di Maria before he joined us. And I think he put Casemiro into that position and just said, look, you hold that spot in front of the defenders. Modric can tackle, but Modric is free to do what he wants as well on the pitch. Cruz is a baller, of course. And he just gave him that freedom. And I think players like Ronaldo need someone that they respect to play for. And I think with Fergie, he had that, and I think with Zinedine Zidane, you can't kind of avoid that. I think you have to have that respect for the kind of player he was. And I think at United, at transfers, I think Pogba looks at Zidane, probably his idol, similar kind of characteristics as players. And I think, you talk about that French connection, all that lovely stuff.
This is boiling right now.
I think you bring it to United. I think you bring it to United, you bring out the best out of Martial. You get the best out of Pogba. I think he loves a player like Rashford as well. And I think, that third option in midfield, I think he'd solve that midfield. He solved that midfield at Madrid. I think he'd solve it for us. We're almost there with the midfield. And I think he can bring that to us. He can bring success. Whether he could sort out the defence, I'm not sure. I think at Madrid he had a good set of defenders there to work with. So you can't really say he did anything special with that. I think you can't really complain with Ramos, Carvajal, Varane, and Marcelo. You can't really complain. But I think there's stuff to work with there, and I think if we back him and just give him this squad to work with, he get the best out of it. And I think that it's almost guaranteed success.
Paul and Adam, main arguments against Zidane?
That's a very cruel thing to ask a half-French 40-year-old.
I'm sure you'd have plenty of arguments against Blanc.
Yes, I would. So it's very different.
Isn't it incredible that Zidane, who's won 3 Champions Leagues, you still look at him and kind of think, is he really all this? I find it marginal. I think that as well, so I'm not pointing the finger at anyone, but it's kind of incredible. And I think that's because of their form in the league. But you just have to look. I'm not even going to say what I was about to say because that would mean I'm defending Yass. So no.
No, go on. I think Yass being the third option, if producer Chris will let me off with this, maybe needs slight defending a little bit. So I'll let you off with it, Adam.
If you look at Real Madrid now, maybe that shows that, Zidane was doing something right. Because if it was just, he just had a great bunch of players and he just walked in, it's that old case of people forgetting that a manager actually has a job to do and players don't just have to play for themselves.
Exactly, and he did win the league in his second season there too. It's not like he won the Champions League and completely sacked off the league all 3 seasons. He won 1 out of 3 of them, and the third season things started to go pretty wrong in the league. But the fact is, they played Bayern Munich, Juventus, and PSG, not in that order, in the 3 rounds. I mean, they had an easy final, obviously, but apart from that, they had to work hard to get to that final in his third of 3 Champions Leagues. Can you tell I did some research just in case I drew number 3?
To be fair, Pochettino, is he a proven winner? He's not really won anything. Solskjaer, we're yet to see. I think with Zinedine.
We just defended you.
No, yes, say it. You're the only one.
He started his 32nd round early, I see.
Yeah. You don't 10 seconds for that, Yass.
No, I'm not. I'm letting Yass go. He's the only. Your manager, you're right. Yass, what you were saying. Then your manager is the only one who's actually won a top trophy.
There's at least
the Norwegian League's top.
They literally call it the Tipper League, and I'm going to assume the Tipper part means top.
Shit, that doesn't help me again.
Let's hope it means that.
Right, let's move on to the 30-second round. This is basically what it says on the tin. Everyone has 30 seconds to summarise their argument, and then I decide whose argument was the best argument for the huge debate today. Starting with Paul then, from United Rantcast. Paul, tell me, why should Ole Gunnar Solskjaer be the next permanent Manchester United manager? 30 seconds, go!
With the greatest respect to my 2 colleagues here who've put up excellent arguments for their perfectly reasonable candidates, they're insinuating that we're going to have to make Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sad between now and the end of the season. What they're both saying is they are comfortable with upsetting Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, if you can live with that, lads, fine. That's between you and your conscience. But none of them scored Zidane did score a winner in the Champions League final, but not for us.
And we are done. I love that the main crux of your argument was, no, we don't want to upset Ole. We just don't want to make we don't want to make Babyface cry.
Seems perfectly reasonable to me.
Okay, Adam, 30 seconds. Tell me why Poch should be next permanent manager. Go.
Ole's not going to be sad because he's going to win the FA Cup and the Champions League and retire from football for good. And then Mauricio Pochettino is going to come in and do the job that we all know he should be getting because he's ready for this job right now. Yes, Zidane's won some trophies, but
3 Champions Leagues in a row. Yeah,
mate, you know what?
Cares about that. We all thought Mourinho was the man, and look what happened there. Look what happened there. Poch is the man for the United.
And that is it. 30 seconds. I mean, not too many solid in stone arguments there, really, boys, to be honest. Yassir, hopefully you can make up for it here with your 30-second round. Tell me why Zidane should be the next Manchester United manager. Go.
I think he's proven success, works with top players. Everyone in the club's going to learn to speak French. He's sorted it all. We'll come. He'll bring it solid. The midfield will be wicked. And that's all I've got. But really, let's just give it Ole.
I was gearing up there. He's done it in 20 seconds. I was genuinely gearing up to say, you know what, Yassir will probably win this for the best argument because these two, their arguments have been useless. At the end of your argument, you said that Paul's won.
The thing is, there was something I didn't say on my 30-second round, which I'm really upset about not saying, which is Yassir said during his first statement about Zidane that he'd love a player like Rashford. It's like, yeah, but did he ever tweet a picture of him with his shirt draped over with a Rashford shirt?
Exactly.
You're right. I mean Zidane all the way.
Think of what Ed Woodward could do in the market with Zidane as manager. Jesus. Right.
You know what, right? You know what? I'm still giving the win. I'm not even giving the win to Yassir. I'm giving the win to Zidane, to be honest, because I think we've had the most interesting arguments. for Zidane in this preview, in this debate. Just most of them haven't necessarily come from Yassir himself. So yeah, Yassir, you're having the win because I can't give it Paul, whose main argument for it was let's not make Ole sad, and I can't give it Adam, who said, oh, Zidane's not won much. So yeah, Zidane wins. Yassir, you are the winner of the huge debate.
By the way, I was sitting here when Adam was talking about Pochettino. I was like, I really have got carried away here because he's absolutely right. Like every single argument's like, yeah, Pochettino is perfect for United, but
he's not winning it because in that 30-second round he said Zidane's not won much.
See Poch's face when the press officer was talking about not talking about Manchester United. He was like, just let me go. He wants this job. I remember Mourinho crying over this job. That's what's going to happen to Poch at the end of this season.
He can be Ole's assistant for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, if you want to vote, you can do. You vote who's won today's debate. It's in the corner up there. You'll find it somewhere. Vote who you think had the most interesting and convincing arguments. Paul from United Rantcast, thank you very much for joining us. Adam McKola, as always, and work shadowing Yassir back on the channel. Very happy to have you back, mate. And we'll catch you next time on Full Time Devils. My name's Gaz. See you soon in a bit. Latest.